Then they went to The Hague, where Mr. Ocampo told him he was not interested in coming to Kenya. If Kenyans can agree to set up a local tribunal, the ICC would not get involved. So we tried everything possible. The second time we went to the cabinet, when Martha had already resigned from the government, it was shot down in the cabinet. And the two who are now in The Hague led the campaign in the cabinet to shoot down the proposal to set up a local tribunal.
Yeah, finally on this question. Okay, Honorable Kenyatta.
I think there's a discrepancy there because he just said cabinet passed it. It was rejected on the floor of Parliament, so we couldn't have led an onslaught in cabinet because I think we were all together in cabinet, we approved it, and on the floor, I think Martha is quite correct, that on the floor there was complete confusion, there was no guidance, and as many members of the ODM team, as many members of the PNU disagreed with the position. So it was not, as my brother Raila would put it, that he mobilized his troops to vote for a local process, because his own troops rebelled on that particular position with regard to this document.
30 seconds.
No, the troops that rebelled from ODM are troops who were loyal to my friend William Ruto, and whom he had told to vote against it. Yet the troops who were loyal to me voted for a local tribunal to be set up here. But then I was saying that there was a second attempt after Martha had resigned from the government by Mutula Kilonzo. He redrafted the bill, brought it to the cabinet. It was not approved. It was rejected in the cabinet through the intervention of my friends.
Are you satisfied with that?
I think the Hansard record and voting record will prove that it was actually not that way.
Thank you. Professor Kiapi?
I wanted to make 2 points. And the first one is that it doesn't really matter now what we did or didn't do. The judicial process at The Hague is on. And for me, the question Kenyans must ask and the answers must be given is whether or not my brother here should run for president. And that can be given by our courts. And if our courts fail to give the answer, he himself can give the answer by saying, I'll step aside in view of this until I clear myself, and I don't want to engage the country in this matter. And if he himself, of course, refuses to do that, then he has actually put the ball to the Kenyan people that he is running, and let the Kenyan people decide. Absolutely. And I think it's very, very important as a country that we don't continue to always bury our hair.
Thank you. Thank you, Professor Kiapi. Your time is up. Let me go back to Martha. Your hand was up.
I just wanted to remind my worthy colleague here, Honorable Raila, there was no vote on the local tribunal because for a constitutional debate, you need 148 members. Those who didn't want a local tribunal literally whipped people out of parliament. I was left there pleading for them to come back. So there was no vote.
Now, finally, in closing this matter, Dida, I'll come back to you, but on a different issue, totally on the same. Just in closing that particular issue of the ICC, all of you are presidential candidates, and each one of you stands a chance of being next president. And just looking at what the ICC question has done to the country, the exchange with diplomats, and the perception that local systems don't work, that is why some of the Kenyans ended up in The Hague. What do you feel about this? Because there are Kenyans who are embarrassed about this, starting with Dida. 30 seconds, please, and please keep to your time.
Yeah, it doesn't matter where you are taken for justice, whether to Tanzania or Europe or here in Kibera. Justice is justice unless you have intentions to compromise. But I just wanted to advise Kenyans and the leaders. Personally, my personal view about ICC will need some time. But what I'm saying is if anybody is not comfortable with the idea, then you need to give up and just give room. Listen, you know, Kenya is not an island. The outside world is speaking, Kenyans are speaking. Unless a leader is saying, I have numbers in my community, I will look for another community. If I add the two, whatever the world says, I will make it. Unless you're thinking like that, it is comfortable. I don't know why a junior clerk should be forced to step aside and a minister should, I don't know that disparity. Why are we given the metallic stand? Is it the same thing that we are discussing?
Thank you. Thank you very, very much. Let's go to Professor Kiep.
For me, there are two key things in our country, and one of them is that we must build the capacity of our institutions. We must do that, whether it is the judiciary or parliament, we must build the capacity. But the second and most important is
the question, Professor, and we have 15 seconds left, is the image of the country as perceived after the ICC question.
Yeah, the image of the country is obviously everybody's looking at us because one, we failed to use our own local processes, and now the whole world is wondering how Kenya is going to pull out of this.
Thank you.
And we need leadership for that.
Thank you very much. Uhuru.
There was a lot of misgiving. And I think it was that misgiving which was used in the 2007 election that our courts could not be trusted. That is why some of us here went to the street. The disrepute of our courts started there. And it caused us a lot of problem, but we now have a new constitution. We want to build on the institutions that we have. We want to build and rebuild the judiciary to restore confidence in the people with our own judicial system. And that is something that I as president will continue to support as I continue, because that is the circumstance we find ourselves in, clearing our name through the international court where we are currently present.
Thank you. Thank you, Honorable Kenyatta. Honorable Kenneth.
Kenya is greater than all of us, and national interest must prevail over individual interests. And we must ensure that Kenya's best interests are in place. I am saying that because if we do not place Kenya first, and we look at our own individualism and look at it and square it out, it will not help Kenya. Kenya will live beyond all of us.
Thank you, Honorable Davidi.
It definitely puts us in a very awkward situation as a nation. And I would say that I would want to appeal to the Kenyans out there that this is not a laughing matter at all. This is indeed a very serious matter. And a serious decision has got to be made, because once we get to the ballot, and we hope we all can get to the ballot, you must ask yourself, is your vote a vote that is being cast for the Kenyan people, for the nation, or is it simply a vote that you're casting for a particular individual? I think all of us will embody certain aspects of nationhood. And I think that is important that it comes out clearly when the voting is done.
Thank you. The issue is the image of the country. Honorable Martha Karua.
Yes, the image of Kenya definitely suffers, but rightly so, because we have a judiciary that is reforming, but the entire criminal justice system has not been reformed. The judiciary alone cannot make it. We need a reformed prosecutor's office. We need a reformed investigations office and corrections services. I would move as president to make sure that the reforms of the criminal justice system are all encompassing so that Kenya never suffers any other time. And let us remember that the IDPs, the victims of the clashes, have not had justice, and justice is key to reconciliation.
Thank you very much. Honorable Odinga.
Kenya is a sovereign country, a sovereign nation. We discuss our issues not at the behest of the international community. We need to do what we think is right for this country. People of Kenya should make an informed choice in electing their leadership without interference. But I believe very strongly that our judiciary right now has the capacity to deal with this issue and give direction to the country.
Right. Finally, Honorable Muita.
We need to be proud as Kenyans that we have a new progressive constitution, very good constitution, setting up independent institutions and commissions. The challenge is implementing fully and faithfully this new constitution. When we do that, the image of Kenya outside will change automatically. By and large, we got it right with the institution of the judiciary. But the institution of the police is being faced with challenges, as we are all reading, some acrimony between the Police Service Commission, the Inspector General, the Office of the President, the Oversight Authority. something appears not to have gone quite right with the recruitment of those who are serving in the Police Service Commission. So we need to get that right for the judiciary to be effective. But it is humiliating to see ourselves as a nation being talked down to by other nations. But it is because of corruption, impunity, failure of leadership, and the begging culture. If we can stand on our own, economically and socially, we shall be respected and we shall not be talked down to.
Right. Ladies and gentlemen, we have to close the issue of ICC and move to the final issue of this part one of the presidential debate. And the issue now